Hello, good time zone, everybody, and welcome to Horde of Tales for Convergence Manifesto. My name is Marcus, also known as the Individual. Pronouns he, him. I'm a pale Caucasian man with dark brown hair, a beard, glasses, and today in a red jacket with a white shirt and a colorful print on it on here. And I am Game Master for today's game of Dungeons and Dragons. But it takes players for a game master as well, and I would love to give everyone at this table their chance to introduce themselves and their characters to you, starting in the top left of our overlay with Serial.
Hi everybody, I am Serial, pronouns they them. I am a Caucasian person with short-ish black hair with a white streak on the front. I'm wearing a white t-shirt today with a fun, really beautiful drawing by a friend of mine. And I play Rebus, who uses any pronouns, usually they them. They are a warforged, so like a robot person made of metal and wood and kind of like a patchwork combination of materials. They have a shattered faceplate, and they are a barbarian, and they're very adorable. And they sound like this.
Awesome. And next up, we have Ida. Hello there, Ida.
Hello, my name is Ida. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a Latina woman with tan skin, dark eyes, dark hair. I'm wearing a gray mesh frilly top thing, and I am playing Rain. Pronouns she and her. She is a Triton sorceress, aberrant sorcerer. As a Triton person, she has aqua green, blue skin, finned ears, wears a saffron outfit, and has a mop of very tight seaweed curly black hair.
Fantastic. And next over to Austin.
Hello, I am Austin. Pronouns he, they. Caucasian bearded person wearing I actually didn't plan this, but pink and green headphones, and also or pink and green. What? I'm colorblind. Pink and blue headphones and pink and blue shirt. It matches. I play Dythun, who is a brown and black furred Leonin fighter. Bunch of shiny armor, many weapons. His pronouns are he and him. And out of all the times Ida has introduced herself, I never heard the term saffron until, like, describing what Rain is wearing. I don't know what that says about me, but there you go.
Saffron ochre. That's not really
Sure.
ochre.
It's you should have some paella sometime because it's delicious and it makes me sad to think that you've never had it if you haven't had saffron.
I may have and just not known what it was.
If you have a
Come
look, if
over,
you
I'll
have
make
a
some
well,
for you.
if you have a well-stacked spice cabinet, look up turmeric. That's a close color.
I know what turmeric is. Okay.
That color. Yeah.
Delicious.
I have a question for the German speakers on the cast. I was
Should
thinking
we
about.
Finish up. Should we quickly finish up the introductions first?
I'm so
and then
sorry. I thought they finished. I'm so sorry.
No worries. No
I got
worries.
distracted when it jumped to me.
No worries. No problem. Rounding out our introductions for today, wearing no color that comes close to saffron, if I look correctly, we have Caro.
Yeah, hey, I'm Kara, pronounced she, they. I'm a Caucasian femme with turquoise long hair. Today in the beautiful color of black, combined with black. Yeah. And I'm going to play Delphine, pronounced she they as well, who is a tanned half elf with a scar over her face, rather long, wavy light bluish hair, and a tricorn hat on her head, and generally rocking that pirate style. And I still don't have a t-shirt.
That should definitely be a t-shirt, and I'm always glad to hear it. It's an important part of my Tuesdays. Great to have all of you here. And
Also, Ida, rude just stepping over. I'm not a ghost yet.
What? What do you mean ghost?
Hmm?
I don't get it. Whoosh.
Because
Yeah.
cut, you cut her.
Oh, like
off
that. I'm so
before her
sorry.
description.
Yes.
But now that we've wrapped up the introductions, Ida, you were about to ask a question to the German-speaking parts of the table here.
Yes, because I was thinking about all the ways I've learned how one wishes happy birthday in various language and cultures. I lived in Albania, and when you say happy birthday, you say you wish someone another 100 years. In Dutch, you sing "May you have a long life." In English and Spanish, the song is more or less the same, translated, at least the version I know. And I was wondering if it was different in your parts of or in Germany.
Basically, you say alles Gute zum Geburtstag, which is basically like everything good for your birthday.
Ah.
So it's not special at all, I think.
I disagree because Caro is very special and just celebrated her birthday, and that's what I wanted to jump
Oh,
on.
thank you.
So
Oh,
a very...
have a long life, another 100, all the cozy and good things.
and a very herzlichen Glückwunsch zum Geburtstag, as they say in Germany.
Dankeschön.
Another 100? Wait, what have I missed?
Yeah, I'm
Alive for
In-
100
in-
years? Are
In
you a real
Albanian,
life
you
elf?
say "Even je kind," and that means and they wishes you another 100. May you live to see hundreds of years. Add another 100 to your lifespan.
That is
I mean,
awesome.
I could also tell you
support
how
this.
it's basically said in Norwegian.
Is it different? Tell us.
Uh,
I want to hear.
Yeah, in Norwegian you say "gratulerer med dagen," which basically is gratulation to your day or for your day or so. English.
Because
not
your
my-
birthday
my
is your
first language.
special day.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, we're learning how to say happy birthday all around the globe. If anyone else in chat comes up with some interesting ways of saying happy birthday elsewhere, feel free to share with us. That's a very cheerful note to start on, which very much fits the situation we're in this game, right? Super
yeah, very
cheerful,
cheerful.
high note, everybody's happy, and
We're all friends trusting each other.
exactly. That's what we're going to return to today in session number 63 of the Convergence Manifesto. How's everybody feeling at the start of this session?
Yeah, I'm excited to play the best friends game. That's what they
Yeah.
call RuPaul's Drag Race too, right?
That sounds
Everything will be fine.
correct.
I do think
What could go wrong?
Don't say that. Don't ever say that.
I agree with Serial. Whatever could go wrong?
There are certain
Macbeth.
things that you should never say. Is like this sentence, then like, oh, that is an easy game when the game is not done yet.
Yeah.
Or like the other team are losers when they haven't shown anything yet.
Well, everything will be going fine, and one thing that is already going fine is we're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons today here on Horde of Tales. And as mentioned, here on Tuesday, we do play the Convergence Manifesto, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons adventure series set in the world of Eberron and created by the Across Eberron project. We are currently playing March of Madness in the series, and if you want to see what all these Convergence Manifesto adventures are about, you can find them on the DM's Guild. You can buy them separately, you can buy them in a bundle, but you should definitely check them out because we have been having approximately 62 sessions of fun with them already. We are also using Foundry Virtual Tabletop as our virtual tabletop of choice. The music you hear is by Dark Fantasy Studios and Joel Stidler. And in case you see any of the battle maps where our adventurers are having a dramatic fights against vicious monsters and aberrations, they were probably made in Dungeon Draft as a piece of software created by Megasploot. Also, on this channel, we do love cats. We really do love them. I have always my trusty kitty cat here off to the side. There you see that boy.
Cats.
working hard, really working hard. And if you spot a cat on camera, you can use Catvantage. Use your channel points to give one of the players, including the GM, Catvantage, which makes sure that a little cute kitty cat pops up. For example, imagine you're giving the GM Catvantage, then one pops up right here next to me. And if you give me Catvantage or someone else, I or someone else can decide to use that to get advantage on one roll, and then the kitty cat vanishes again. Keep in mind that if you spent your channel points for Catvantage, that you also let us know who is getting Catvantage, and don't give Catvantage to someone who is already holding on to them Catvantage. Spread the cat love around. With all that out of the way, let's roll our intro and then get started with today's session. See you after the intro.
Help! With light blue threading everywhere to symbolize signs where Karo's luscious hair has been.
And on that note, we are back. Whatever were we discussing while the intro was running, you will never find out. But what you will find out is what has transpired last time on the Convergence Manifesto. Our adventurers continued their fight against aberrations from the Plane of Xoriat. Among them, an Acleo, a oozy, humanoid-shaped creature that was holding keys. Vola, the druid that is accompanying the party, needed to unlock a locker that held the tools to restore the gems and crystals that keep the entity that is bound in this complex bound to its place. The party succeeded in fending off not just one, but two of these Acleos and recovered the resources they needed to help Vola. However, as Rain delved deeper into a spell shard filled with memories the party has, more information was revealed to her, and the Triton drew her own challenging conclusions of how to deal with this situation. After spending some time to at least recover a little bit of their resources and their energy, the party followed Vola further into the complex, to the next location, to return power to this place. The druid was successful in imbuing the place with at least a part of the new power, but Rain also succeeded in having her reconsider her approach to things, reconsider if she should spend energy also locking away the spiral well again. But Vola still believes that it is not safe to remove this artifact bound to the very plane of Xoriat from this place. On their way to their next stop, the next chamber, Dythun and Rebus found a familiar figure lying in the dark hallways. She was only illuminated by the tip of a wand she held out, pointing at the Warforged and the Leonin. Aurea Urkorin, wounded, exhausted, tired, and with a glowing wand, was pointing at the two of them. That's where we ended the last session, and it's where we're going to kick off today's session. Right in that scene, the shot is still framed at Aurea lying on the ground, wounds on her face, empty healing potions around her, and the wand outstretched at Dythun and Rebus in the hallway. We turn around and focus on these two protagonists as they witness Ikora on the ground there, in the darkness. Dythun, Rebus, what do you do?
far away is she?
Oh,
She's about hardly 10 feet away from you.
Oh, that's dangerous distance. You say she's like standing on the ground?
She's lying on the ground. Like her back is propped up against the wall. She has one of her hands is clutching her belly, but the other one is holding out a wand, and the tip of that wand is glowing in a red color.
But she also stopped herself
Yes.
right as we came into view, right?
Right. Yeah.
I seem to remember. I don't remember like exactly what if she said anything, but
She briefly said something, but she also, while she does still have the wand pointed at you, it's pretty clear that it's not about to fire at you or anything. She's observing as much as the two of you are currently observing.
so before anything happens, like what does Rebus ascertain from her like situation? Like is she actively, I don't know, bleeding out, or is she just like exhausted but healing, or is she like, does she look like she is panicking, wants to get out or continue going on, except us appearing is kind of a problem now? Like what is the vibe, the atmosphere of the situation, apart from she's obviously exhausted one way or another from facing the things that we also have been facing?
Good questions. What you do ascertain pretty quickly is that while she is damaged and wounded, you don't get the impression that she's near to death. You do see that there's a few empty glass bottles around her, looking familiar to the healing potions. And you get the impression that she probably chucked those, and you can, in the very dim red light that comes from a wand, you can see that some of the smaller wounds are currently still closing. So probably the healing potions are still doing their work. Though she doesn't look, she's not hanging on by a thread, but she still looks rattled. Like there's still some other deeper cuts and wounds in her face. There's big black lines under her eyes as if hasn't slept for days. She has been through a lot. Her breathing is fairly steady, not like too fast, panicky or something. But her eyes, no matter how exhausted she looks, she's looking at the two of you with resolve in her eyes.
Dythun's gonna draw his longsword. Or just take another step towards her.
I will put my glaive, like, non-cutting side against Dythun, just like on, essentially like, extend my arm while holding the glaive and have it like touch on the side of his chest, kind of like stopping him from just straight up attacking her, and but also not like getting in his way, because she's still pointing wand at us. So it's a very delicate like standoff situation of, but essentially with this gesture, Rebus means like, let's talk first.
I think that's probably a good idea, and Dythun recognizes that, but also doesn't want to admit it. And kind of glances back at Rebus, not angry, but not like threatening Rebus, but just like turns back to Aurea. Why don't either of you give me an excellent reason why I shouldn't kill you right now?
It would be the more logical and effective course. I admit that. Then again, I am always in favor of an opportunity for an amicable resolution.
And on top of that, Aurea says. Lowers the wand, and you can see that she puts the wand into a bandolier of wands across her chest, and then reaches into her pocket, into her jacket, and she pulls out what looks like a little cube, six-sided cube, made out of pristine metal. And she says, depending on what's going on in this place, this thing I'm holding might be the only thing that can contain the spiral well.
It's just me and Rebus in this hallway, right?
Yeah, right now, and not too far off, like behind you is the room with Delphine and Rain together with Vola in that room, busy on restoring the crystals.
I wish I had taken this other feat to let me get an idea of other creatures' hit points, but I didn't get a level in
But you
fighter.
didn't!
I went for cleric. Not fighter. So I was like, when do we ever talk to people that long that I'm gonna be fighting?
Mid-session level up.
Hey Marcus, can I be a level 7 fighter for like 2 minutes? So can I do any kind of check just to get an idea of like, if we went 6 seconds in combat, would she be down, or does it look like she has a fighting chance? Like that's where Dythune's brain is at right now, is like
Right.
threat assessment.
Right. Going by also that the things that Rebus was able to assess by just looking at her, and combined with what Dythune can assess from that, and combined with Dythune's military and combat experience, she could last for longer than those 6 seconds. Like, you also spotted the bandolier of wands she has across her chest, and even though it's a gnomish size chest, it's quite a collection of wands she has there, and you have no idea what kind of spells is woven into those wands.
Rebus, don't let her move.
Yes.
Dythune's gonna turn away and like slash his sword at the wall and walk back into the room. And just like before he's even at the door, just Rain, Delphine, we have a problem.
Are all the
another
crystals put
problem?
in?
Vola, as you, Rain, you would be probably helping Vola again with the crystals here to put them in. You were currently busy helping Vola identify the spots where the crystal tapestry was mostly damaged. And as the two of you are busy putting in crystals, you just hear the sound of metal ringing across stone on the outside, quickly followed by Dythune shouting into the room. And Delphine, you of course also hear this.
Interesting. Vola,
Dythune?
continue. We will have your back. And Rain walks out. Because if Dythune had the means to walk and say a full sentence and not shout it, Rain judges that this might be still talking time.
As Tythun walked out, Rebus, like, I will almost too fast to be comfortable. Like, I usually move in like a more or less elegant way. Like, I don't move in a very threatening way. But I suddenly like just squat down to Arya's height and put my shattered faceplate like right to her face so she can see the light from within. I suggest we find a way to all get out of here alive. Maybe we should give over the cube and not cause many problems. Just my advice. And I stand back up, just waiting for my companions to. I can probably hear rain approaching, so.
Right. Aurea holds on to that cube she showed to you and Daithun, and as you lean back from her, the rest of the party approaches. All of you are together here. All of you see Aurea on the ground there.
Oh, look who it is.
This must be quite a delight for all of you to see.
Taking it in. Okay, I'm done. What are you going to do now?
I'm going to continue on my path,
To do
find the
what?
spiral well, and make sure that gets to a safe place before all of this starts coming down on us.
Ah, a safe place, like in your machine.
Do you think it would be better off here?
Did you ever
No, that's
question?
why we are here.
Did you ever question yourself if you might not be the case why this all is happening?
Oh, well, I know why all of this is happening. All these crystals here, they didn't get destroyed by coincidence. I needed something to power down the safety mechanisms.
I'm taking my gun and I directly point it towards her. So we found the problem maker. How about we take her out so that she isn't causing any more problems, ever?
While Delphine is pointing her gun, I'd like to use my telekinetic feat to start trying to pull off the bandolier, since you mentioned that Aurea's hands are not on a wand anymore. There is no casting. There's no verbal,
She's-
somatic, nothing.
Just to help you get a clear picture, the bandolier is like around her torso. So it's like a belt around her torso.
I'd like wands to start rolling off, sliding off and just rolling out of her arm's reach.
The entire bandolier or wands on it?
If she's on the ground, I think it'll be hard to get a bandolier off the cross section of her body. So I'd like all wands that I can see to start sliding off.
You see, you focus on some of the wands and they start coming out of the holsters. Each of them different shapes, different kinds of wood used for them. And you start tugging out a few and you slide them out. Aurea is noticing that there's movement and she's trying to uses one of her hands to hold some of them back, but there's still a few wands that start falling to the floor, some of them picked up by her telekinetic force and now floating around her.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not the type to just kill me outright here.
Oh, I want to shoot right in front of your feet.
You just shoot right in front of her feet?
Oh yes.
You just go, poof, that shot echoes in the hallway. There's like just this cacophony. And you see Aurea, she can't even finish her sentence. And her eyes go wide. And she also loses focus on trying to grab her wands as Rain can now pull out more of them from the bandolier.
Oh, I'm not the type. I beg to differ.
You might be familiar with my particular preferences, but those don't necessarily apply to my companions. Aurea.
Well then, she takes a moment to recover from just that shot just inches away from her. And she then says, well, there's no point in talking then, right?
Is Arya devoid of her wands, and do I see a cube?
She has still the cube in one of her hands.
Well, as Rain is pulling off things that she thinks are unusual or / threatening, I don't know what that cube is. She's holding on to it. Tug.
You want to start tugging at it?
If all the ones that Rain can see are now a distance, arm's reach away from Aurea, then I'd like to start tugging at this cube that she's holding up.
All right. This is with your telekinetic feed, right?
Which essentially is Mage Hand. So right now
Which
we're
is
using
basically-
Mage Hand, which is invisible.
Right, yeah. It was basically Mage Hand. Mm-hmm.
I'm not shoving anything yet.
No,
Uh,
you're manipulating,
have-
you're pulling.
10 pounds is the limit on that.
10 pounds that are not held by something at this point. And you start, with your telekinetic power, you start trying to pull the cube out of her hands, but she notices that something is pulling, and she's like pulling back.
What's that you have there?
Specially designed container. And this is shielded for any kind of effect from the Plane of Xoriat. Bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. I've had it made for the spiral well.
That seems handy. I'll take it.
No, you won't.
Telekinetic shove the opposite
You give
way,
it to
then.
her. You're lost already on this point.
She has to make
Trying-
a DC 16 strength saving throw.
On the other hand, Rain, you have to make a DC 17 strength saving throw. There are
Cool.
two telekinetic powers that are now pushing against each other.
Okay.
That is, that's a strength saving throw, right?
Yes.
Okay, that is,
Before. Wait, before.
Marcus, before you say anything,
Yeah.
Rebus is planning on if since they can see that Rain is purposefully trying to actually now shove the cube out, regardless of what happens, Rebus is going to swing their glaive to hit the cube to out of her grasp, so at least her hand is not
I would say that if
Rebus
does-
so
if Rebus does that, I would say that Aurea has to roll with disadvantage. So I'm going to roll another die to check.
16.
I got a total of 14 on this save.
Okay, so she is shoved backwards. And I'm
Mhm.
hoping my mage hand has the cube, but I'm going to roll
Mhm.
my strength saving throw now.
Exactly.
Delphine is near me.
Is within
Yes.
reach. Yes, she is within 10 feet.
That is a total of 28. I rolled a nat 20.
Nice.
So I just kind of just stand my ground like,
How much do you add to your strength saving throw?
oh my god, I looked at the wrong thing. I was looking at con. A 23 in this case, sorry.
Oh, that's still enough. That's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
enough. But I was just where like, "Woo, how much
it was
did
no,
you
a
add?
natural
to your-"
20 die.
How buff is Rain
My
really?
con is 6. I was looking at con. but
Yeah.
that's-
Okay, so, Rain, what you do feel is that the moment you start pushing, there is another telekinetic force that pushes against it, and you are very aware that it is Aurea that is using her own mind to push against your mind. And there's this brief moment where both of your invisible telekinetic forces are pushing against each other, but then Rebus comes in just shoving with that glaive, and the cube flies out as Aurea is pushed against the wall, further against the wall. You hold your ground, and you have this cube floating in your invisible power.
I will now
I also
move my arms to pull the cube and this array of scattered wooden sticks towards me.
Yes. I was going to say, with the swing, I would like swipe my foot so that as many ones as possible go away from area and like Aurea, and I go like in battle stance, essentially, ready for anything.
There's a lot of things happening at the same time, and Aurea is like recovering for a moment to see that she's no longer holding the cube. The wands have been moved away from her. Rebus has their glaive out, and the cube is now floating in midair. And she says, "You don't even know how to use it."
I can find out. Shall I find out?
You think you're so clever, aren't you?
I am pretty clever. Dear friends, I don't think the easy way is going to work. I need to find out.
Dyson is gonna like put an arm on Rain, or put a hand on Rain's shoulder and just like look at her intently and like scratch his forehead.
Dyson hears telepathically. Hmm?
You might want to search her mind while there's still one to search.
Oh.
And just like start walking back towards her again.
Now, are you going to tell me how this works, Mr. Corin? Or are you going to tell me how it works?
You're gonna peek into my mind. You're gonna dive right in there. Your mother tried to as well.
You don't talk about my mother. So, I am going to spend a sorcery point to do this subtly.
Mm-hmm.
Down to my last sorcery point because I spent them all on making spells back, which I'm going to expend now. On detect thoughts.
Thinking to myself, yeah, Aurea, that's exactly what you want, to make Rain mad when she's about to go into your brain.
And
so smart.
Rain, there's no somatic casting, but Rain's eyes absolutely glow and like her hair is almost like floating up. She's mad. You brought up mommy. You hurt mommy. And as part of the spell, I get the surface thoughts, which I guess are just anger and rage. And anything beyond rage or anger, as before I delve.
Correct. There is a lot of anger, frustration, recent memories of her fighting off aberrations. You see these flashes of Aurea just holding a wand in each hand and just flinging spells, pulling up shielding magic while blasting another monstrosity with a fireball. But there's always this undertone of like, time is running out. This needs to be put together. And now things are not coming together. Things cannot be set into motion that should be set into motion. That's already all in the surface thoughts.
Rain just like tries to mentally kick down the door, just like swipe across this annoying curtain of, oh, what a bother. So that will be an intelligence saving throw, DC 16.
DC 16.
Because I guess she's resisting.
She very much is.
Did she succeed? Because then you know my next words.
She succeeded. And
If
I have a feeling.
if I sense this block, you see Rain as she's enacting the spell, her hair waving up. She just, to everywhere, she kind of like tilts her head, and her eyes go silver. And let's do a silvery barb. So roll one more time, and I give myself advantage, whatever the result. Take the lower of the two barbs. Come on, come on.
The first die I rolled was a 13 on the die. The other was a 10 on the die.
She a smart cookie?
For a total of 18.
She's a very smart cookie.
As you feel like, as the moment you try to go deeper, all you see is every thought of her vanishes. You just see an empty field with just an horizon in the distance and Aurea standing there, staring at you.
Oh no, she's in her happy place.
Everyone else just see Rain's head tilt to the other side, and she almost like rolls her shoulders back and cracks her neck, like, "Oh, old dogs can learn new tricks. Impressive." And Dython hears in his head, she's actually putting up a bit of a fight. I guess it's the old-fashioned way for now. Well, she's useless to me, so I don't know what use she is.
And so you're gonna hear a response immediately. Can you figure it out without her?
I don't have a choice but to.
If Rebus is not like impeding Dython, he's gonna walk straight up to her and attack.
Rain is going to walk back, just like wave behind her and take wands and box back to the room where Vola is to figure out. Doesn't even look back.
Dython, you walk up to Aurea and you just swing with your longsword at her.
I have a feeling Rebus might try to stop that, and so I want to give Serial, agency here. But if Rebus does not immediately stop Dython, then he will.
We have given her enough of a chance to essentially either give us what we need in exchange for her life, because Rebus, I know that leaving her alive is going to cause us more trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I really didn't want it to come to this. I was hoping at some point, whether because of necessity and later, I still don't want to be the one dealing the first blow, but at this point, I have stopped you multiple times. I have, I'm not going to protect her. I feel like she could have bargained for her life enough, and this means she will put up a fight, and I don't think she will be easy to beat. So yeah, no. I actively get out of Daithun's way.
All right.
She's
And
prone,
I'm
you have
ready to
advantage.
continue the-
Who has advantage at this point?
Well, isn't
She's
she
prone, right?
Yeah, she's prone. Yeah.
Melee attacks have advantage? Question mark.
Make that attack roll with advantage as you
Okay.
approach Aurea or Corin.
I'm clarifying this beforehand. I know because I have this shield in my hand. Can I mechanically choose to not use it to do two-handed, or do I have to take it off?
I would say, especially because there's been some time as Dython has been waiting for how it's developing, if you would say that Dython has briefly just dropped the shield and now has the weapon two-handed, that would be perfectly fine.
I feel like he unbuckled it and was holding it, and then as he walks up to her, just
Clank,
lets
clank,
it
clank,
go
clank.
and just two-handed swing longsword.
Absolutely.
All right, that's gonna hopefully hit. Math. 22.
22.
I think 15 plus 7. 22. Right? Yes.
That is 22. Can you roll me damage on that?
Cool. I'm going to superiority dice battle master to make this a distracting strike. So that's going to be an extra d8 on top of that. Where is 10? That's what a 10 looks like. That's an 8. That's 9 plus 4 is 13.
Aurea probably isn't fully aware of Daithun stepping up to her as she is in her mind battling Rain. But the moment the Leonin feet step down next to her and your longsword comes down with extra force of your skillful blow, you see her eyes and head snapping towards you, pupils wide, staring at you as your sword cuts through her clothing, through the jacket, through the shirt under it, and you can even feel that you're denting some kind of chainmail that's even under that as a layer. You hear how something cracks in her side from the impact. And then Aurea looks at you. Rain, you have her still in your detect thoughts at this point, because, I mean, it's holding up for a minute, but things are moving fast here. And you see that her representation of herself in her mind is flickering as this happens. In the physical world, you see where Daithun hits, there is the cracking sound is followed by this little statue that falls out of her jacket, a cracked statue made out of ivory, and it's just covered in these expensive gems that falls to the ground. And as it does, you start seeing Aurea's form vanishing away as
My back was turned.
as she's just flickers out of existence. The only thing she leaves behind is the bunch of wands you pulled away from her and the cracked, expensive statue. And Rain, your telepathic approach breaks up.
Rain stops, turns
He
around.
just like immediately swings with what would have been a second attack, just at nothing then.
Damn it, if I saw that, maybe I could have countered. Okay, this is curious. Rain has turned around and heard sounds. And I'm going to pick up all the wands floating towards me, and I see gems.
You see, it's a little ivory statue that's now cracked in the middle, but that little statue is completely covered in expensive gems.
Make space. I'm gonna pick up the shiny thing. I've learned my lesson this time. Step back.
You would know if you look at this statue and these gems, Rain, especially as someone who's trained in arcane magic, you would know that this kind of statue is the ingredient for a contingency spell. And whatever happened to Aurea here triggered the contingency that was part of that.
Blind sight 10 feet. She didn't go invisible, did she?
You don't sense anything within your blind sight.
Okay.
I will then pick up the item and assume that this is a expensive component.
Yes, it is very expensive.
Lesson learned. I really should be watching the explosions.
Okay. Why, for fuck's sake, didn't we search her whole fucking body for other stuff before attacking and trying to kill her? I know, Typhoon. Nothing against you. I know that feeling. She's gone.
She won't be far. Guess what?
Vola!
I've tried more than her survivability, so she'll be back for whatever Rain has.
I am picking up whichever ones Rain didn't manage to. You know, if there's anything lost.
In total, there is, from all the wands you pick up from her, there are 12 different wands she had on her. Once the party has some time to check what these are, you will find out what is in these 12 different wands. Also, for bookkeeping purposes, are you also picking up the shattered statue?
Oh,
that
yeah.
Okay, just over the table, the gems alone in there, the entire statue, is undamaged. 1,500 GP worth
Yeah.
of materials here.
Component for contingency.
Yes. So you have a bunch of wands here that you, Rebus and Rain, are picking up. Rain, you are also you also shout out for Vola to.
Yes.
As you do notice, because all of you were so focused on Aurea, rightfully so, you didn't notice that there was more light coming from the room that Vola is in, and she is stepping out of the room, and almost her entire hair has gone gray at this point, and there is a bit like her cheeks have hollowed out a bit more, and she's holding on to her staff and says in a more tattered voice, "This one is also sealed."
We found the interloper. They're slimy, they're nimble. They're not literally slimy. I know things here are literally
They
slimy.
escaped.
She's after the spiral well, and she was going to use this to contain it.
May I see that? She takes it. These are only made by the gatekeepers. How did she acquire this? We do not give these to people outside of our order.
I look at my party. I have some need for her. Keep her alive. I need answers.
Oh, can we
Sorry.
do this the old-fashioned way then? Because it seemed like your mind delving didn't work.
Rude.
No, it's not rude. That's a different approach to that topic.
Vola gives back the cube, and she says, "There is no time to bicker at this point." There's more frustration in her voice than before. 2 of these seals, they are restored now. And she looks at Rain at this point, if you first want to make sure that we redirect energy to keep containing the entity, all of this should be enough. We should go see how the bindings for the entity are working now. If we go back to the chamber we first saw, we should be able to go through the portal and check up on that.
And the interloper heading to the spiral well, they were responsible for shattering your shields in the first place. They are headed to the spiral well. Will these seals hold for now?
I don't know.
What will the interloper, one that is very resilient and versed in magic, but without something like this, how quick or how fast could someone resourceful get in?
Resourceful. At this situation, she could force whatever remains of the barriers, whatever remains in the vault, and grab the spiral well. Would still be brute force, but looking at the mess she left behind here, she doesn't mind applying brute force.
So you're saying she should be a priority?
You see that Vola is absolutely not happy with you putting words in her mouth. But she's not responding. And then just holding onto her staff, thinner arms than before, she says, "Let us head to the vault first, then," and leads the way.
Okay. I make sure that all the wands and the shiny statue are put away on Rain's person. She probably has a little backpack or something.
Right.
And she'll hold on to the... No, she's squishy. She still has a telepathic connection up with Daithun.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, as we're walking... Daithun... Walk alongside me for a bit.
I think he's honestly, until people start walking down the hallway, just like staring at the spot she was at. And then like finally picking up his shield. Don't. What?
As we're walking, Ring goes side by side, and behind her back, she just kind of hands Daithun the cube. Or she just mentions, pokes the cube at his back.
Alright, fine. Placing it within his backpack and tying it back shut.
I may be drastic, and there's always a bit of truth in the drastic. But the other thing that balances the drastic is that there are costs, and sometimes there are costs I'm not willing to pay. So damn all of you for being very expensive. And Rain walks on.
Daithun, after Rain says that and walks on, you have been staring at the spot where Aurea was lying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you can't even start processing whatever it was Rain was saying to you, as another voice comes into your head, that of Mortal, and he says in a dead serious voice, "I can sense her still. She has the taint of Xoriat on her. She's not too far. You want to finish her?"
Shouldn't even be a question.
Then
This is
follow
war
my
now.
lead. Let your companions deal with the artifact. We can deal with her.
Wounded enemy can get back up and fight. If you keep hitting them when they're down, they can't get back up. If they can't hurt people, they can't kill people.
Right. You understand this, Daithun.
Psst, psst, psst. Are you moving? We can't let her beat us to the well.
The chain is tugging you into the opposite direction of the party.
Is something wrong, Dathan?
I think he just turns and like looks the opposite way from where they're going. I feel her. The chains feel her. If you're going to the well, why is she this way?
What's that way, Vola?
Fola stops, like annoyed. She looks around, turns to you and says, "That's the direction we came from. The entrance chamber is that way."
The gate?
The gate, yes.
I look back at Delphine and Rebus. The gate!
She's leaving?
No way.
Typhon walks
Yeah.
off.
Into the direction that the chain pulls you? All right. And as Dython already walks off in that direction, we're going to take a first break of today. Going to take a little breather here as we see what kind of choices have to be made. We're going to be taking 10 minutes break, so we'll be back at 15 past the hour. Take this chance to stretch your legs a little bit, grab a drink. Don't get yourself talked to by inanimate objects like chains that are wrapped around your arm.
Bad
And
idea.
we will be back in approximately 10 minutes. See you in a few.
Split the party! Split the party! Split pea
But
soup?
how much life force
And-
is, like, percentage-wise?
A vola?
As
Of you?
As you can guess from these little bits and pieces, we've been having a few interesting conversations behind the screens before we continue into the second part of today. Before our break, it looked like the party was about to split. Some of them heading for the planar artifact known as the Spiral Well that they want to safekeep, and others urged on by the spirits residing in other planar artifacts might head for another chance at dealing with the party's rival, nemesis, enemy, Aurea Erkoran. We are still at a literal crossroads here. Dythun, our Leonin, being tucked into one direction to follow up on Aurea, and the rest of the party noticing that that is happening. What will the party do?
Small clarification. I think Dythun is, like, maybe not full sprint running, but I don't think he's walking.
Rain is going to look through the wand she got very briefly, pick out one that is maybe not so expensive looking, but medium, and she just tosses it to Vola.
All right.
Start thinking with that. We're moving. And she levitates a foot up and starts levitating out behind Dython. Like, not quite Superman flying, but her arms behind her.
So
Nerds
Rain is
apply.
also following Dythun.
I look at my companions. How much longer here, Vola?
What do you mean?
How much time until we reach the next?
If we're heading to the vault, which Rain suggested, and now she's heading off into the other direction. If we're heading for the vault, that would be maybe another 5 minutes. Hopefully not too far, unless we encounter other monstrosities.
Do we need to go to the vault?
Well, if we want to check up on the Spiral Well, which is what, if I understood your companion correctly, our interloper was trying to go for, then we need to go to the vault.
Rebus, what do you mean? Do we let the other two deal with Aurea?
Well, we are checking on the Spiral Well because we're afraid that she might be there. Now Dythun is saying that he feels her somewhere else. I think one of us at least should still make sure nothing is happening to the Spiral Well. But I do think it might be a higher probability that she's not there yet. But I cannot. I would like to run and check, but I have no means of communication with you if I leave.
I still have a sending stone.
No, I do. I do. But just for 120 feet. Which is probably not enough for a 5-minute walk. You have a sending stone?
I have a sending stone.
The other one is with Dyson?
Would you can go with Rain and Dyson, and I will go with Vola to check on the spiral well. And if anything,
To be fair,
if
I don't
Aurea's
know.
there,
Wait, I don't know if Aurea is pulling more tricks. You're way stronger than I am. And if anything is up, I am still able to give some healing to Vola.
fair. But then, if she happens to be at the spiral well,
I will tell
let us know
Dyfun.
immediately and don't get in trouble
Me getting in trouble?
until
That
we're
will be
there.
new.
Okay, I will run after Rain.
So, Dythun, Rain, and Rebus are heading in the direction that the Chains of Mortal are pulling, while Vola, who has been giving a random wand, is joined by Delphine to head towards the vault of the spiral well. We are splitting the party, and we are first looking at Delphine and Vola's side. Delphine, you are alone with the druid here as you wander the hallways and make your way towards the vault. And Vola says, also, you notice Vola is walking slower at this point, and she says, "What? You have such impulsive companions. Such very quick-minded people accompanying you."
Well, sometimes you need to be kinda fluid when it comes to certain situations.
Serial, there's something?
Before I leave, just because this is something in my mind, my insight is not very good, but do I see anything different with Vola?
Is there, besides the fact that she looks like she's aged very quickly in a short time,
Yeah.
is there anything else that you might be looking for?
Different mannerisms, different, like, does she not seem like herself? Different way of carrying herself, different, speech patterns.
She still seems to be herself, from what you gather, just aged, more tired, weaker. But you don't get the impression that she's acting out of character. You don't get the impression that she's
Okay.
like she had a personality change or anything.
I just got worried when I left Delphine with her that somehow she might have been manipulated by Aurea, or Aurea might have tricked us into thinking she's her or whatever.
Gotcha.
Making sure I don't leave my friend in danger.
Makes total sense. Aurea continues talking with Delphine and says,
Aurea?
Uh-huh.
Hey, wait a second.
sorry. Wow. Names.
Gotcha.
Vola keeps talking with Delphine, and she says, "I can't imagine if you've been traveling with them for so long. It must have been quite entertaining as well." in its own way.
It could be better, it could be worse. It's, I think, always the same when you're traveling for quite a while with the same amount of people.
Hmm.
You get to like some parts of them while you're at the same time hate a bunch of other parts.
It's kind of the curse of getting to know someone, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. But as you mentioned, you also get to know their good sides, their strong sides. I just want to clarify once again. I'm really appreciative of the help you and your companions are giving. But I'm certainly not used to your kinds of problem solving. But I don't want to come across as ungrateful.
Delphine will just basically make a small gesture to basically wings that away as if it's like no problem at all.
Right. And after a few more steps, you arrive at another room with its stone door locked. And Vola is going to, puts her staff against the door, hooks it into a kind of mechanism, and the door slowly opens. And inside it, once you step into the room, you already feel as if gravity is more intense here, as if you have a harder time moving in this rather small circular chamber that only has at its center a single steel-looking box about as tall as you are, Delphine. And it is completely, you cannot see what's inside the box. It is made out of various plates of the steel welded together in a very, not beautiful way. Like someone just had these pieces of metal and just welded them together. But you can see that also this metal has this purple sheen, this purple glow to it, similar to the Bayeshk weapons that you saw earlier. This special kind of steel that the inhabitants of Xoriat seem to not deal well with. Vola steps closer to it and says, well, at least the container is still closed. This is what the spiral well is stored in. This is a cage made of Bayeshk where it cannot reach out. It cannot affect the minds. But what you feel here, this oppression in this room, this pressure, that is coming from the well. Even with this Bayeshk prison around it, it's trying to push. It's trying to come out. Forcing this open, I don't even want to know what would happen.
Well, if everything is clear here and nothing seems damaged, then I think we can already go.
I want to take a time to also inspect the wards, and she points to carvings in the ground all around this container, spiraling from where the container stands all the way to the edge of the room. And she starts inspecting them. I need to make sure that these will hold up, at least until I have more. And she looks at her own old hand and says, until I have more time. And she starts further inspecting. If you wouldn't mind, Delphine, keep an eye out for any dangers.
Already on it.
Feel free to shoot anything that's not friendly to us. And if it helps you to talk to keep calm, feel free to tell me a story. I don't think you're the type that talks to keep calm.
I'm not that great of a storyteller, let's say it like this.
All right, then. And she just starts getting to inspect the carvings on the ground as Delphine, you are keeping an eye out for any kind of dangers that might come. Meanwhile, the rest of the party that have followed the tugs of the chains of Mortal, you are making your way through the dark corridors that you have walked through first, back towards past this first chamber you entered where you fought the Acleos and the other dreadful aberrations, still seeing the remains of their bodies lying on the ground there. Past that room, further towards the entrance, the closer to the entrance. And as you approach that room, you notice a few things. You notice that your steps are slowing down. It gets harder to move. It's like you're moving through molasses, trying to move through just this invisible force in the air. You also noticed that where earlier you've heard these voices and screams from any corner all around you, there is now just silence. Except for coming out of the chamber you're approaching, a grinding sound of stone against stone. You're not too far away from the chamber, the three of you. What do you do?
I assume Dython gets there first, because he was running. So.
That makes sense.
I have nothing cool I can do in advance. Rain pulls some leather tubes from her bag and just kind of sticks several of them like within her belt. The lids are already loosened open. And I guess she's like a bit behind Dythun, and she's just going to say quietly, maybe for Rebus to hear, because I'm sure Rebus is not very stealthy behind the two of them.
Right.
The crystals are what keep the binds together, and Aurea admitted as such, blasting them open. Blasting them releases the bodies and the entities, which takes one to know one in her state. Maybe she thinks they're also useful. So, ready when you are.
I'm just...
Cat.
Hello. Can I just make... Like, I know that, like, passive perception is a thing, but, like, can I just make, like, an active scan of everything? Just like, taking steps forward.
You take in everything your senses can perceive. You take in the fact that your movement has slowed down, as if there's pressure in the air. You take in how your feet feel on the stone tile floor beneath you, the darkened walls around you, and with your blind fighter senses, also sensing every kind of gentle movement in the air around you. take in the absence of sound, this absolute silence. And then you also take in her. Standing right in front of you stands a tall woman in a dress made of the finest red silk you have ever seen. Her shoulders are fairly wide. One hand with 6 fingers is rested on her hip. The other, with 7 fingers, has one of her 2 index fingers resting on her chin. The face itself has immaculate cheekbones, sharp but beautiful. Where 2 eyes should be, 3 eyes are aligned on her face. And her dark hair, pulled back in a long ponytail, looks more like oil than hair. Not only Dython sees this figure, all 3 of you see her. And I need Rebus and Rain
Yeah.
to give me intelligence saving throws. And I need Dython to make a charisma saving throw.
Is this against charmed or frightened?
This is against both charmed and frightened.
I have advantage on this roll. My advantage is... No, never mind. I can't. Silvery Barb's advantage is like way gone. Come. Yes. Yeah. I don't know if it's enough. Total 18 for Rain. The
18
other
for Rain.
roll was a 1.
You said charisma for Dython, correct?
Right.
Okay, so that's a +1, not a -1. So that is also an 18 for me.
18. What did Rebus get?
It's an intelligence?
Yes.
By the way, friends, I have no spell slots left.
Oops.
Oops.
19.
Oh,
19.
I
Oh,
don't know if it's
wow.
enough.
These
I don't know if it's enough.
These are some really good rolls. And Dython,
Just something I did while we were walking and you were explaining things. I forgot to verbalize it. I did a cleric thing to get back a spell slot.
you did a
I
cleric
just want
thing.
to verbalize that so it's not like I'm doesn't
Perfect.
try to do that on the spot.
That's perfect. Thank you for informing me that you did a cleric thing. And all 3 of you also did amazing rolls here. Rain and Rebus, you look at this woman, at least this female figure, and you feel as if for a moment only she is standing there. Only she is looking at you with her 3 eyes in a perfect line, the center eye slightly larger than the outer eyes. For a moment, you have the urge to just fall to your knees, to just behold what you're seeing. But it might be both of your exposure to the planes in your adventures, your resilience that you have built up to these effects of other planar beings, that you can resist. And the moment she realizes that you are not falling to your knees, she raises one eyebrow inquisitively. And her other hand that she had on her chin lowers to her hip.
Like, Rain almost catches the word mother leaving her mouth as if it's not her own, because the entity had specified a mother. She catches herself just like to shut up the last syllable, like.
Dython, you made a charisma saving throw.
I did.
Because you are completely unaffected by whatever this entity is projecting, by whatever this creature is radiating. But you feel the chains wrapped around your arms grow hot, as if they have just been pulled from the crucible, as if flames have been imbued into them. And as you look down at your chains around your arms, you see that the chains are growing spikes, slowly emerging like thorns of a rose. The chains are unwrapping slowly, and you hear Mortal in your mind. She is not supposed to be here. We sealed her away. We put her away, and she should have been put away. We can finish her again. We can finish her again. Daithun, you are not getting told by a weapon what to do. You can keep the enraged chains on your arms, even though you feel the thorns, the spikes that grow in them start to poke into your skin and fur, but you keep control. The figure looks at all three of you. And without using her mouth, how did you look at her again? She doesn't even have a mouth. You hear her voice. Rain, to you, this voice is familiar. You have heard this voice in different cadences, in different intonations. And it's again this voice that now speaks as if it's a choir of this entire voice. Rebus, you have also heard this voice before. But now you also hear it in its group version. An entire flock of these voices speaking. Daithun, you hear this group of voices also in your head saying, "It is so fascinating that the greatest bane of this plane are the turmoils of the people that inhabit it. There's challenges as you all face, this baggage you all bring, and these things you do because you feel driven to them by, what do you call them? Emotions. Every single one of you, of all these mortals I have met in my existence, you would be willing to leap into the abyss if it would satiate your drives, your passions.
Describe the room, please, its dimensions and how far away they are from the gate and crystals.
So, I'm glad you asked this question.
For no reason.
You see this figure standing in the center of the gate room. To the right of the figure was that chest that almost killed everybody when Rain opened it. To the left was the little armory where you pulled the Bayeshk sword from. Behind the figure is the circular gate. And as you watched at the figure, as your attention was drawn to this figure, first you didn't pay attention to the background. Your eyes sharpen now to the background, and you see that all the runes on there are glowing. All of them are on, which should be a good sign. Vola told you that since some of these runes were not glowing, the gate wasn't empowered, the entity was not bound, and the runes are glowing. But the gate itself is blasted open. Cracked open, forced open.
And this is like more than 40 feet?
Oh, no. The room is not big.
Damn.
And you are not far away. Like, at this point, all of you would see this as you're standing on the threshold of this room. You're not in the room yet. The room itself is 8 by 8. I'm already thinking, this is the problem when you think in battle maps. I'm thinking 8 by 8 squares. So let's say it's 40 by 40 feet.
I want to sing it so bad. I want to sing it so bad.
Come on.
Fireball.
You're throwing a fireball in there?
Because you mentioned the room.
Mm-hmm.
If the room is exactly this much, then if I'm lucky, the blast is just on the cusp of the actual crystals and seals. The portal is busted, you said anyway.
Yes.
This is split second, so I'm not gonna. It's makes silly to ask for rolls, but Rain just feels this combination of terror, urgency, and resolve seeing this femme person, and holds out her hand with a ruby ring on it, and a ball is lobbed forward.
Ball is lobbed forward.
And as she's lobbing that ball forward, she's also like floating backwards, like almost trying to drag Dython with her. I think Rebus was still behind us a bit.
Yeah.
Dython for sure would have been like walking either in front of or if Rain caught up to him.
So let me roll damage. That's good.
Your DC on that is like 17 or 16?
16.
16.
Cat!
Cat?
Well, thanks Gwenora for giving Cat Vantage to Delphine as a belated birthday present. How much damage did you get on those dice?
5, 10, 20, 6 plus 4, 30, 32 fire damage.
Okay. The orb flies in there, and you see when the orb lands and the room explodes into flames. You see in that split second before everything is engulfed in flames in there, you see this figure just splitting apart as if it's trying to get away from itself to avoid the blast, just parting in the middle. And where it parts, you see at the edges of each half is just this texture of eyes, endless numbers of eyes, as flames fill the room. And after a moment, they die down, and the figure stands there.
Is Aurea still standing there?
Aurea isn't in the room.
Oh, I got so distracted.
Aurea is not in the room.
Fuck.
And that
Fucking
figure
expenditure. Yeah, go ahead.
stands there, and as she looks at you again, can you give me a Constitution saving throw, Rain?
Okay. Delphine, I miss you, Uwu. I missed the palette. That's pretty good. Total 19. I hope.
Total 19.
Yeah. Unless it's against being charmed or frightened.
No, you are not.
Okay.
Where are my D12s?
Ow.
Yeah.
Cat.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Oh, jeebus.
Also,
I always love
Ada,
when the DM says that.
you need to learn to stand on your own legs. You cannot always feed off my aura.
That's what it's for.
Rain,
Yeah.
you see this figure still standing there, realizing that Aurea wasn't in the room. And then the figure just cocks her head. And where there should be a mouth, another eye opens. And you just get this insane sense of vertigo, just as if suddenly all shapes all kinds of dimensions around you start becoming incoherent. You take Marcus math. 28 points of psychic damage. Halved. Oh, sorry, force damage. Force damage.
Oh, I think it's
28
psychic.
force. And you gain 1 level of exhaustion.
Oh,
as you just feel your sense of space and reality being pulled at. The rest of you, Rebus and Daithun, you just see Rain for a moment. It looks for you as if Rain is placed between 2 mirrors, and there's this infinity mirror effect happening as right in front of your eyes you just see duplicate after duplicate after duplicate, as if she's being stretched out over space before she solidifies again in one form.
As soon as any of that happens, Dython's letting the chains drop and rushing in.
You let the chains drop?
Yeah, like letting them like hang down, and he's getting
Unravel.
ready to attack.
As you have them unravel, the moment the chains hit the ground, they ignite. They are covered in fire at this point. And the moment they are unraveled, they start spinning. The arm that's holding them lifts up so that they start spinning all over you. And you can actually, those of you who can see Daithun, you see that the flames that cover the chains, there are faces in them. You see these goblin and hobgoblin faces, stern expressions that are just looking intently at the figure in the room. They have marked their target. This hobgoblin warband is going on a hunt. And the figure in the room sees that weapon. And she says, "Oh, yes. I've missed it." And then, as if pulled by an invisible force, is pulled into the cracked open gate. And as if entity is pulled in there, you can see through the opening of the gate, in a distance, like as if it's hovering in a starry sky, there is this giant piece of rock, a pathway leading to it. And in its center, you see a figure bound to this rock. And right next to it stands Aurea. I think you're just charging off?
Right through it.
With the chains ignited, heading in there. You're muted, Ida.
the last time someone jumped into a portal, is the figure of Aurea 30 feet away? More than?
More than 30 feet.
Dyson's running in.
Mm-hmm.
Rebus, Rain starts to go in, and her face just like loses all the blood, just like really pale blue, because last time she ran into a portal like this, she died. She looks back at Rebus, and she almost looks sad, a little scared, conflicted. Go get Delphine.
As you say that,
I run in.
coming up into the hallway, Delphine, you and Aurea, Vola. Why do I keep mixing these up? Sorry, I'm really not reading anything with this. They are two independent people.
You're juggling a lot.
We've insight checked this person 4 different times to make sure she is who she says she is.
Exactly.
I'm fairly certain it's Vola.
Vola is an
But-
orcish woman, everyone. Aurea is a gnome woman.
That's quite
Exactly.
a difference.
Delphine, you and Vola, you have spent some time, and Vola has confirmed that the wards in the vault room are still holding up for now. There might be some need later to reinforce them, but unless someone comes in here and blasts open the locker, or the container that the well is in, it should be safe. So the two of you have made, as fast as possible, your way out of the vault, back through the hallways, and you come around the corner and see your party. You've already heard in the distance like a muffled sound of something exploding. And then as you turn the corner, you see Daithun having the chains unwrapped, the chains in flames, and he's rushing into the gate room as you still see Rebus and Rain standing there. And as you come up with Vola, you also see that the gate has been breached open. Past that gate, you see this kind of chained figure there, Aurea next to it, and Daithun just running towards it.
Can I see what this chained figure is?
As you look at it, from this distance, it looks like a large-sized creature that is just warped muscle tissue and flesh, vaguely humanoid, but bound by what do look like chains to the center of this floating bit of rock that you can see past the portal. And you see that Aurea is standing next to this figure and is busy trying to do something with the chains there.
Okay, probably trying to get the chains off, and Daithun is running in.
Right.
Or trying to run into that stuff. Oh god, he has lost his mind. What do I do?
Shoot her. Who said that?
Who said that?
How?
Also, if it helps, Aurea has her back to all of you at this point.
The question is just from how far away will that be?
Interdimensional space? I don't know.
Because if I try to shoot her and this is completely out of range.
What's your max range on your gun?
Max range 240.
240. Going as far, assuming that space works the same here, even if you cross through a portal, you could hit her. Could try to hit her.
Okay.
Do you want to take the shot? Aurea has her back
Please
to all
do
of
it.
you.
Please. I swear.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I still have the advantage.
Yes.
Yes.
Austin also has cat vantage for later
Right.
bookkeeping.
Oh, right. Yes. Thank you very much for that, Judica Fortis. I'm going to give that to
So
Austin.
also I didn't Vola and I didn't saw that of a creature.
No,
that
you didn't
was-
see it.
okay,
You are not
cool.
aware of this this
Okay,
woman
cool.
in the red dress.
The mommy.
Okay, yep. Fate is not on my side at all.
What did
I
you roll?
rolled 2 ones.
Oh.
What?
And with that, my gun also breaks.
Oh!
That's the first time it ever happened. At the most unfortunate time. Oh.
The dice gods are saying something.
Delphine, you pulled out your gun, aim it towards Aurea, pull the trigger, and you just hear this disappointing cling as the bullet jams in the pistol. And no shot is fired, which means Daithun, completely uninterrupted, runs in there. Rain goes in there. And as the two of you go in there, Aurea turns towards the two of you. And you see a large third eye on her forehead.
Oh,
Marble.
good.
and we're gonna take a break here for
Fireball.
our
God.
second time for today.
I'm not actually
So
moving the
Khorvaire,
Rubus now.
we-
Fireball.
we need 10 minutes to recover from that double natural one, and we will be back in 10 minutes, or about 10 past the hour, 11 past the hour. Take a chance to grab a drink, to unjam your pistols, and see how we're gonna end up in the third part of today's session. See you in a few minutes.
Fireball. Fireball. Fireball.
Hello, everyone.
Fireball.
That was a lot of fireball already, but we
Fireball.
don't know yet if that will be cast here in today's final part of this session. Before our break, our party was briefly split up as Delphine and Vola the Druid checked up on the vault, which turned out to be secure, while the rest of the party, Rebus, Dythun, and Rain, followed the tug of the chains of Mortal to still find Aurea, who might be still here in these premises. On the way there, they found a strange creature that tried to influence them. Rain threw a fireball at it, was attacked with force damage, and now the party is going through a broken portal, a broken gate, into another part of this complex. Dythun wielding flaming chains, Rain flying ahead, and Delphine, due to the power of storytelling that is possible through playing a tabletop RPG, making the most dramatically interesting double natural one. If I understood it correctly, the party, with Dythun, basically the first one to go in there, is all of you are heading through the broken gate into the direction where you've seen Aurea, who is turned towards you, and you have seen that on her forehead, a third eye has appeared. Is that correct, that the party is heading in that way?
Nah.
Rain for sure.
What, I might just be, like, struggling to recall, but what happened to the figure, with 3 eyes, 4 eyes now?
That Rain had through the fireball at?
The first one.
Yes, because that was not, like, past the portal, right? Like,
No.
Aurea is on the other side of the gate, and then there's this figure. Is this figure connected by chains? Like,
No.
because you mentioned
Maybe-
Aurea was, like, missing.
No problem. This is there was a lot of information, so we can.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, like,
So
make
we
sure
did
I
have
don't
first.
mess up.
We first had the room with the gate in there that the party was in earlier, and in that room had this female figure in the red dress appeared. That was still before the portal. Once Rain threw the fireball at that figure appeared, was basically pulled through the portal and vanished from that point on. Beyond the portal
Okay.
is now this floating bit of rock in that which seems to float in some kind of open space. There's a pathway leading up to it, and on top of that is a chained figure of what just looks vaguely humanoid, a lot of muscle mass and flesh on it. And right next to that figure is Aurea, and Aurea is now looking at you. But that is all past
So
the
now there's-
gate.
Yeah, now there's nobody in the chamber apart from us.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Fun. This will be okay. This is totally not a problem. Okay, yeah, we're
All right.
rushing in, I guess.
As you are rushing in, let me provide you with some extra visual aid to help clarify the scene.
Oh dear.
That would be great.
I hope so. I'm missing. Oh, apologies. I'm missing Rebus on here. So, what you see on here is once you cross the portal, you see the as if you step into this space filled with stars and nebulas in the distance. You follow a rocky pathway that leads upwards to this bit of rock and stone that floats in this space. Atop of it grow a few plants that radiate a strange reddish glow, and roots grow along the rock. At the center of this rock stand two large wooden pillars, almost totemic in kind. A third one lies shattered to the ground, torn apart. Between these three totems is a binding, warding circle that is drawn into the ground in green, glowing colors. At the center of this circle, bound there with chains, is a hulking figure of flesh and muscle, a long, lolling tongue flapping out of its mouth, eyes looking at you, all of you approaching, and Aurea standing right next to this monstrosity. You see her now with a third eye on her forehead, as she seems to be channeling some kind of energy from this figure into what looks like a spell shard. Not one that you've seen here before, but similar to the typical kind of spell shards that magicians and spellcasters all over Khorvaire use, as she's drawing energy from this figure. She sees all of you approach. Daithun ahead with the flaming chains ready. And that figure in the center. The figure turns towards all of you, and all of you just hear one word in your head coming from that figure. Don't. And with that, I want you to please roll initiative.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Garbage.
Very glad I have advantage.
Rain got a 7.
Yes.
Okay.
What did Daithun get?
18.
18. And you also rolled with your
23.
advantage for
23.
23.
I had
Wow.
to do math. 18 was the dice. 23.
Gotcha. What did Rebus get?
26.
26. Nice.
Even
I
with
rolled a
advantage
natural
plus
19.
5.
Nice.
I very rarely ever beat Rebus in initiative.
And finally, what did Delphine get?
Fast.
13.
13.
Was Vola moving through the portal too, or she elects to stay outside?
She is currently still behind you. For this round of combat, not relevant yet for your encounters. But all of you are very much relevant for this. And we are going to at least kick off this encounter in today's session. And at the top of round 1, we have Rebus.
Yep. I run in past my companions, and I will go towards Aurea and just essentially get into combat with her. Rebus went into with that she stops what she's doing. I don't, because they don't know what the creature is. So.
No.
I run to Aurea, blade in hand. I split into the two swords, and just say, I think I gave you plenty of choices. And I will attack her without raging.
Very well. But
Because I can't.
do you want to
anymore,
attack
so-
recklessly?
Yes, I will, actually.
Aurea is knelt down. She's not
Yes.
mechanically prone. She's just
She's
knelt.
standing. She's standing.
Okay,
Thanks for trying.
Alright.
okay. It goes both ways, so heads up.
Let's do some attacking recklessly. 22 to hit.
Yeah, that
First
hits.
attack.
That most definitely hits.
For maximum damage, so 12.
All right. Yep. She is going to use her reaction, and as you come with the attack, she draws up this barrier of energy, and she gets to reduce that damage. She gets to completely reduce that damage, as the barrier just absorbs the damage.
I go in with my second sword on the side
Swing away.
for a 30-20.
Oh yeah,
to
that
hit.
hits.
Are you using your own sword, Rebus, or the Bayash sword?
My own swords for now. It's Aurea.
With an eye on her forehead.
Yeah, that's
Do it, do it, do it.
there. 11 points of damage.
Oh yeah, those come through as it cuts up, and you see like ah, and she
How does
takes
that
it-
how does that work? Like, does it seem like she took all the damage?
It feels like you had a clean hit with this.
Alright. Good to know.
Anything else?
And I do one more because two weapon
Yeah.
fighting. So, which is, I assume, also with
With
advantage,
advantage,
even if
because
it's
your reckless
almost-
attack makes all the attacks
All
on
of
your
the-
turn with advantage.
Really low, so it's a 12 only.
That doesn't hit. No.
Alright. I will move around her over here to give some space to my companions.
Gotcha. All right. That ends your turn.
Yeah. It does.
That brings us to Typhoon, who is moving over there, and I have a feeling what's going to happen.
I'm gonna give her a firm handshake.
Mm.
No, he's attacking with the chains. Let's see. That's a 19 plus 6.
You're attacking Aurea with the chains, right?
Yes.
Can you roll that? Can you roll another d20 and take the lower result?
Ooh,
I'm going
interesting.
to tell you in a moment why.
It's a 3. That's
As
a
you-
9 total.
As you charge over towards Aurea, you try to bring the chains down on her, but the chains, they are pulling towards that aberration that is right next to her. The chains don't want to waste time on her. There's a larger aberration to be killed here. That's your first attack. That misses, thanks to a bit of a disagreement between you and the chains.
I just like mentally and trying to do that mental connection, but like yelling out loud at the same time. If you're going to stop me, you're no use to me. And just try to hit her again.
All right? Make that attack with disadvantage as well.
All right.
Come on, high
I'm
modifier.
gonna can I cat vantage to
Yeah, sure. If you want to
cancel
cat advantage to cancel out the disadvantage roll, yeah. But then you
Okay,
roll
so the-
straight for that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to roll again. One was a 19, one was a 1, so I'll just roll again, I guess.
And you spent the cat advantage on that? for a straight
Yeah, that's
roll.
a lot better. 22 total.
That definitely hits.
I'm gonna superiority dice, distracting strike again. That's a 6, 10, 13 damage. Almost rolling max damage on that.
Can you also roll an additional 2d6 to that for the damage?
Sure. Can she also?
Die.
Oh no, never mind. She doesn't roll anything for that. I thought that was a roll on her part.
If she's
That's
an
just the next
aberration.
roll has advantage.
Oh.
That's a 5 and a 5. That's 10.
Another 10 fire damage are now also coming additionally off of your chains as you bring that down on her. Parts of her jacket shredding more, and she falls down on one knee like, ah! Let me just finish my work. And she's
Brief
like,
moment connection. Are you going to keep fighting this?
You're not sure yet about the response here.
He's gonna pull the longsword out. Action surge. 2 attacks on Aurea.
Okay, let's go.
I'm assuming these aren't at disadvantage
These
if
are...
I'm using the longsword.
If you're using the longsword, no, they're not at disadvantage. Yeah.
Okay.
No, not all your weapons are betraying you at this point.
He's got business to attend. 21 to hit.
Yep, hits.
All right. Longsword. Where's longsword? Oh, that's a different modifier. That's 22 technically.
Yeah, still hits. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're fine.
That's a 6 plus 4. That's 10 damage for the longsword.
That definitely, and you see, she's now like trying to hold herself up with her hands. She's on her knees.
Luckily, that action surge gets me 2 more attacks. That's a 17 plus 7. That's a 24.
That still hits. Roll the damage.
Whoever says fighters are boring doesn't know what they're talking about.
Even though, since it cost me nothing to use it, even though I've already hit her with distracting strike, can I do it again to add more damage to this?
If you want to, yes, but
Okay,
of course
I'm
you're
gonna-
spending a superiority dice on it, but you can.
Yeah, he's using it. That's so worth it.
Oh, you thought that we were mad about the aberrations? And no.
12.
This is just personal vendetta.
13, 4,
The aberrations.
17 damage.
Aurea,
I rolled a
with that
7 to
attack,
6 plus 4.
just goes to the floor like, and her eyes roll back in her skull, and she lets loose that spell shard she was holding, whatever kind of energy she was channeling into it.
Perfect. I'm gonna let that be my turn.
Okay.
He's just growling, staring at her, and then turning to this creature.
This creature there, chained by what you see are also chains made out of Bayeshk, is trying to pull against them, but at the same time, the expression of this creature is one of confusion, of a troubled mind, and all of you can hear in your minds again, don't! As it says that, it is going to... You see on the body, like on one of the on the left chest, the muscles and flesh move apart, and the green eye glows on it. And I need Dythun to make a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, that's actually not the one I thought I was terrible at. How far away?
You are out of my reach.
Damn. That's a 12.
That's a 12.
Off.
That is a 12, isn't it?
That's a lot of
Sounds like
dice.
a lot. I think you counted too many. You can stop, actually.
A pure blast of psychic energy comes out of that eye and hits you full front into almost covering your entire body, Daithun. You take 39 points of psychic damage.
Oh fuck.
I think you
Ouch.
counted wrong. You should count again.
And
Holy.
Ow.
Hmm?
I said, ow.
And the creature then as that beam fired, the eye vanishes again, but it looks as if this eye is now moving under the skin to a different location, and the creature just goes again like, don't, and as if it's trying to struggle, it's struggling. It almost looks as if this creature is trying to not do what it's doing, but one of its arms moves up and tries to slam at you, Daithun.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 16 hit. I don't think so.
No.
It's going to do that again. Does a 30 hit?
13? No, 13 misses.
3-0.
No, 3 doesn't hit either. You sure you're counting these dice right? I think you're missing something.
You take 15 points of slashing damage as just this
Cool.
bony, fleshy claw like rakes into you, and all of you again here in your mind is just like going, don't.
Oh,
Takes us to Aurea's turn.
Technicality question.
Yeah.
It missed with one of those, or was that like it rolling with advantage?
It missed with one of those.
Could I riposte?
Sure. Yes.
Because the chains have a 10-foot range, right?
Yes. You can riposte with that.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to use the last combat superiority dice and do that.
And you're using the chains for this, right?
Yes.
Roll with advantage.
Ooh, yay. That's a fun change. That's a 22.
That hits.
Awesome. Do I add that 2d6 again? Are they
Yes, you do
fiery?
add that.
Cool, and I
And-
add my combat dice.
Yes.
I get to roll 4 dice as a fighter. What is this? This is fun. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 15 points of damage.
15 points of damage as that goes in, and like the chains like lashing in there. You hear Mortal in your mind like, yes, this is what we're meant for. And as the chains burn over the torso of this creature, again you hear it saying, its face looking at you, don't
what?
And that was your
Be
reaction.
specific.
That brings us to Aurea's turn. I have to make a roll.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
This ends Aurea's
That's a
turn
one.
and brings us to Delphine.
Okay, I guess we're in there and we fight, so cannot use my gun anymore. This is so shit. I hate this life. Anyway. Taking out my my dragon's rapier, and we're just going with the normal shit. Rushing forward right in front of that aberration, even in front of Dyphon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Aurea is dead or not. So the first attack is basically just like standing next to her body on the ground and using, basically making a step in her head where this extra eye was.
Okay, she is prone. You are within melee,
Yes.
so you attack with advantage anyway, and if you hit, it's a crit. That's
Yes.
Yeah, this is the you know when you watch action movies and the hero doesn't make sure that the villain is really dead and then it comes
Double
by
tap.
them in the
double
ass.
tap.
tap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's an 18 to hit.
that does hit, and
It's critical.
you don't even
okay,
have
cool.
to roll damage here. You go through the eye in the forehead.
Yes.
You
Yes.
put it in there, and you just. There is absolutely no chance that she survives this. She lies there. You pull out the rapier, and her body is completely limp.
I'm not even looking at her or anything at this point. This was basically just a side thing to do to make sure she is not getting up ever again. Then the second attack is against this aberration. Let's see how
Okay.
this goes. Something 28 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
Why can't this shit be undead? Yeah.
Be careful
cannot
what you
touch.
wish for.
Why can it be undead? Okay, this is a D8 plus shit. D8 plus shit. Okay, 16 plus the extra damage and 26. Yeah, this is trash. So So 19 points of magical damage.
As it carve over that with your dragon-empowered rapier, dealing that damage to the creature. Anything else on your turn?
No, that's my turn, and I'm standing there, eyeing that thingy.
All right. Rain, it is your turn.
Just to look behind me. Do I see a shadow approaching? Do I see Vola approaching?
You see Vola approaching, yes.
Okay. Rain's mind is going. She's past the portal. Last time she did this, she died. And she's double guessing herself right now a lot. Why is this thing saying don't? This thing's hurting my friends. Why is this thing saying don't? But Aurea was helping it. Move up. With full movement. 30 feet in the air. She's almost hesitating now, but it's hurting her friends. So she's going to shout out, scream. What do you mean don't? Who are you, Fireball? Is it eliminated my place where
Yeah.
I want to do this?
Yeah, I see the area.
And dexterity saving throw DC 16.
DC 16. Quickly double checking stat blocks. Okay. That was a natural one for
Nice.
a great total of 3.
5, 10.
You know, if they were strained, they technically have
15.
disadvantage.
15. 15 plus 6, 21. 24. 29. That's a good roll. 29 fire damage.
29 fire damage from this loud explosion of flames and heat that you expertly throw into such a corner that the flaming heat hits the creature in the center, but only barely caresses your companions where they are. And the creature screams out as it's bathed in those flames. Anything else you would like to do?
And I would like to telekinetically pull this item 5 feet this way.
Oh yeah, the spell shard that she was filling.
Yep.
Yeah. You
I
can
thought
pull
you
that.
meant the item of the dead body.
Well, is the body of Aurea holding onto the spell shard?
Yes, it's still like clutched in there.
Well, let me check mechanically. Can I shove a? Does it have to be a creature, or
That's a good question.
I want to be fair about that because that might break things. Creature. So I cannot do this. What I'm describing would have to be done with a mage hand, which is an action. So if I see Vola within 30 feet, can I pull her so she moves a little faster?
Absolutely, and she would be willing in that case as well. So you like
Oof.
pull her closer.
She gets a free 5 feet.
5 feet of movement as she is being pulled in. Let me just already like pull her down here as she at the top of the round. We have Vola first of all to add to the initiative order.
What do you mean
I
don't? Who are you?
I will put her in there. She rolled really bad on her initiative. And as Rain actually poses this question, what do you mean don't? The creature now being hit by multiples of you, struck by a rapier, struck by the chains made out of the same material that it's being bound with. The creature stands there and you see that it's just goes like, don't kill. And it wants to finish that sentence, but from the wounds that it already has taken, you see this ichor that floats upwards away from it, starts coalescing over it. And you hear Vola shout, "Don't kill the Guardian!" And manifesting over it, you can just see this figure of eyes and flesh that is slowly taking form. And that's where we're going to end today's session and pick up next week.
I knew it, man. I knew it.
4.5 encounters on one long rest.
Yay, big day.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this adventure. That was a good trap for murder hobo parties.
How's everyone doing?
Great.
They're fine. You know, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Rebus is going through like a full-on crisis, but I'm fine.
Dythun had 54 more hit points than he did like a round ago. But other than that, he's doing good.
I that the player had a suspicion because I'm like, where's the other guardian? Where did it go? What's going on? I was like, but I figured I might take an action to find this out. I'm on a fireball.
Me as a player, I was like, oh, that as soon as there was a big figure there, I was like, oh, that's the guardian for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dythun, intelligence of 1.
Yeah,
Negative 1, I mean. No.
There's this line of like, what would my character know and how much do I bring in my meta knowledge? Because otherwise that's less fun if you go in assuming or knowing the answers. It's fun to put yourself in the character's shoes and like, not necessarily do the trope of, but that's what my character would do, but like, make it consequential.
No, Marcus. This is not a novel one. I just see it on the map. Like, no.
Now you're saying it? This is our friend.
No.
It's friendship.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's French dates. We love these.
It's the same modified stat block as the last one we fought.
Or so you hope. No, but what you mentioned about like what you just mentioned about like making decisions that your characters makes, I appreciate that. I mean, there's of course a lot of logical deduction and genre savviness that you can have as a player, but I am glad that the characters are leaning into things here. Though I do think that there is a lot to work through in character once things start dying down again. There's a lot of questions that might have to be answered. And I also understand that maybe there's, for you as players, also a lot going on here at this point. But I do hope that that is still fun and engaging for everyone at the table.
Engaging for sure. And
Absolutely.
fun, like, I'm a masochist, I like it. I mean, I'm checking when we first met Aurea, this person that died, we consider our arch enemy. We first met Aurea session 15, March 1st, 2022.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
What happened this session?
Well,
This was the Wizard of Oz session.
Mm-hmm.
And Rebus hasn't ever tried to kill her. Come on.
no, exactly. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
well, it is.
Rebus is still the good soul of the party.
We were at the
Well,
DMV.
We would all have been rotten to the ground by now if Rebus wouldn't have been there.
Fair.
I
That-
am very curious to see where things are going next week with this, where we're going to bring all of this together. But for now, I want to thank all of you for playing through this, for rolling with the punches, and I also want to thank everyone who came hang out with us today, providing cat vantage where necessary, and also chatting along with us here. Thank you very much for dropping by. If it's your first time here, or even if you're a regular and you haven't done so yet, you can find all our socials below the video. You can follow us on our Twitter, join our Discord to keep tabs on us and what we're doing, and on our Discord, come out and hang out with us. For example, we have a dedicated Convergence Manifesto channel there, where Serial was so kind to post a motivational picture of the cat to help us get through this tough session. And feel free to join us there as well. If you want to check all our VODs and previous sessions, not just of Convergence Manifesto, but all the other cool stuff we do here on the channel, come check out our YouTube. You can find our YouTube channel over at youtube.com/, thank you very much, Horde of Tales, where we have all our VODs and also funny shorts that we share there as well. Before we take a well-deserved out-of-character rest, are there any things coming up for anyone here at the table in the coming week?
No, I'm off tomorrow. I believe it's Blackout Week for Girls Run These Worlds, but check out their channel for all the campaigns, all the things. I think there were some casting calls recently set out, at least one of them in EU time zones. Support them, do all the lovely things. And we should update our thing on Twitch, but Horde of Tales is now on Blue Sky. Hey! You can find us at Horde of Tales, no underscores, no hyphens, no spaces. Horde of Tales at bsky.social.
Exactly. Come follow us there. Have to join the fun if you're already up on the Blue Sky app. Anything else from anyone else?
Nothing new this week.
Nope, not
All
at the
right.
moment.
Perfect.
Oh, while we're here plugging, our good friend Tavernaut is hosting a charity stream in 2 weeks, next weekend, to support the workers on strike for the from the SAG-AFTRA guilds, and it's going to be a 3-day fiasco-a-thon. And he's going to be facilitating all Fiasco games, which is a really great narrative built TTRPG where you kind of story built on the spot, character built on the spot. And it's a fiasco. Explosions, drama, backstabbing, quick cutscenes.
And everything just goes terribly.
Yes, in the best
I've
way.
played it very, very often with my group of friends, and it is always very fun. Half the game is making the characters and the plot, the other half is actually playing it out, and it's just always hilarious.
Absolutely.
So if you want to
Looking
play
forward to that.
Fiasco for a good cause, thank you, Marcus, for putting the link in the chat. Check out Tab's call for applicants, EU times, with plenty of games also for non-EU potential applicants. Marginalized people from marginalized communities are prioritized.
Exactly. Check out the call. Have some fun playing a fantastic game for a fantastic cause with a fantastic organizer, friend of the channel. That's all for now then. Once again, thanks everyone who joined us in chat here today. Thanks everyone here at the table for taking fun. We are going to head out for a raid over to Gabe James Games. For the rest of us, we're readying up for the raid. And as we're getting ready over here, thanks everyone for joining us for today. We're going to be back here next week, same place, same time. And I wish all of you a great rest of your day wherever you are. Take care, stay safe, and join us on the upcoming raid. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.